What if the pain you've been running from is the very key to unlocking your greatest strength? Keanu Reeves shares an eye-opening truth. Pain is what drives us beyond our limits. If you've ever questioned your ability to rise again, this insight will show you how even the most profound wounds can forge a strength within you. After embracing this truth, nothing and no one will ever have the power to hurt you the same way again. Perhaps in this journey of life, we are constantly seeking ways to avoid pain, sorrow, and obstacles. We yearn for life to be effortless, smooth, and free from anything unpleasant. But there is a truth that, when we dare to confront it, unveils a new horizon filled with strength and personal growth. That truth is this: pain is not our enemy. Yes, pain is not something we should flee from, but rather a path we must walk if we truly wish to understand ourselves and embrace a life that is stronger, more resilient. Have you ever noticed that with every shock or pain you endure, something within you transforms? A part of you, though wounded, becomes tougher, more grounded. And you come to understand that it is through this very pain that you discover how strong you truly are. Pain arrives like a sharp thorn piercing your soul, breaking apart everything you once believed. But after the storm subsides, you will see that you have surpassed limits that once seemed impossible. Have you ever wished to escape that feeling? Have you ever sought every way to push pain away, only to find yourself in a temporary peace? But when you return to face your own reflection, you realize that pain cannot be evaded forever. It is always present, a part of us, not to weaken us, but to help us uncover the hidden strength within. You may have heard a saying that only a few truly grasp. Pain is life's greatest teacher. Indeed, when we experience pain, we are forced to reevaluate everything we once took for granted. Pain draws us into deep introspection, revealing that life's struggles are not obstacles to fear, but chances to grow and become stronger. Have you ever wondered, if life had no challenges, would you ever truly understand your own strength? Could you ever grow if you weren't compelled to face the uncomfortable, the unknown, the very things that push you out of the safe, familiar world you've created? But the important thing is this: pain doesn't come to defeat you. Pain comes to awaken you. It's like a warning signal, helping you realize that change is necessary. Pain is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of growth, a reminder that you are alive, you are feeling, and you have the power to take control of your life. Instead of letting pain knock you down, see it as an invisible teacher, helping you grow every day, showing you that you're stronger than you think. What you need to do is not avoid it, but accept it, not fear it, but face it, and learn how to live with it. Remember, strength doesn't come from avoiding fierce winds, but from learning how to stand tall before the storm. Pain comes to test you, to see if you're strong enough to continue. And along this journey, you will realize that it's pain that has built the strong layers that protect you, that have turned you from someone weak in the face of life's storms into someone resilient, stronger, and more confident to face the next challenge. There's a truth that few dare to face. Pain is your most loyal companion. It never leaves you, never abandons you. When you rise after each fall, you don't just recognize your strength, but you also learn how to confront yourself, to face the imperfect parts of yourself that you've always avoided. Pain will guide you step by step into self-awareness, where you learn to understand yourself, where you discover things about yourself you never knew existed. So, do you dare to face your pain? Do you dare to look into the dark parts of your soul and accept them as a part of who you are? The answer lies within you. Only when you're ready to confront pain will you truly understand how strong you are. When you no longer fear pain, when you know you can overcome any challenge life throws at you, you will feel an invisible strength, a wellspring of energy that never runs dry. And that is true power. So instead of running from pain, learn to face it. Let pain be the teacher that guides you along the path of growth, making it the bridge between you and inner peace. Let pain no longer be your enemy, but a part of your journey of self-discovery, a part of your awakening, helping you grow stronger, steadier, and more capable of mastering every challenge life brings. The truth is, when you learn to embrace pain and live with it, you will find that you are never defeated. Have you ever wondered why? Sometimes in moments of stillness, strange feelings arise within you. Fears that you can't explain? Deep emotions that at times you've tried to deny or hide reappear when you thought you had escaped them. That's the moment you're facing the shadow, the unconscious part of you that you've concealed for years. These parts never vanish, no matter how much you try to forget. And the shadow is something you must face if you want true freedom and growth. You've probably heard the saying, nothing is invisible to yourself. Indeed, what you try to avoid, the emotions you refuse to acknowledge, will gain the power to control you without you even realizing it. Imagine this. You're standing before a closed door, behind which lies a dark room. You might feel fear, anxiety about what lies hidden there. But what you don't know is that only when you enter and face that darkness will you realize it's the source of strength you've been missing all along. Most of us choose to stay away from the darkness, avoid parts of ourselves we don't want to face, thinking that if we ignore them, they will disappear. But in reality, the more you avoid, the more you remain bound to yourself. The darkness, those unexplored parts of you, silently control you, preventing you from growing and moving forward. Therefore, instead of running away, you need to learn to face them. Those dark parts of you contain emotions that have yet to be released. They may be fears you've never dared to face, failures you don't want to admit, or desires you've suppressed for fear that they can't be realized. And only when you confront them will you transform them into an infinite source of energy for growth. That shadow will help you uncover hidden aspects of yourself, abilities you never knew you had. These parts will never harm you, as long as you dare to integrate with them and make peace. One of the wonders of this process is that when you integrate with the darkness, you no longer feel controlled by invisible fears. Past emotions, failures no longer become obstacles, but instead, they become valuable lessons that help you grow. From these weaknesses, you'll develop an inner strength that no one can take away from you. This process is called individuation, the process of integrating everything that makes you who you are, from light to darkness, from goodness to your weaknesses. So, how do you effectively face this darkness? The answer lies within you, in accepting that the shadow is not something you need to fight or reject. You cannot run forever. Instead, you need to understand that change only comes when you face the things of the past, the pain, the fear, and the dark parts of yourself that you've never wanted to admit. When you do this, you will no longer feel bound by worries or insecurities. You will become steadier, more confident, and feel the rising of the inner strength within you. This journey is not easy. It requires great patience and immense courage to honestly reassess everything about yourself, without hiding, without making excuses. It is a journey not everyone dares to walk, but those who do will be rewarded with profound growth, a stronger, freer sense of self. This means you will no longer be swept up in negative emotions or thoughts, but you will begin to learn how to control them, turning them into motivation for growth. Once you understand that the shadow is not your enemy, but an essential part of mastering yourself, you will realize that true peace comes from understanding and integrating with yourself, from befriending all the dark parts within. At that point, you will no longer feel scattered or confused by external factors. You will become someone who is not controlled by ego, by insecurity, or by past failures. You will no longer chase after recognition or approval from others. Instead, you will find peace within your soul. Remember, the greatest battles in life are not those fought on the outside, but those fought within your own heart. And when you conquer yourself, when you master your shadow and your subconscious, that's when you step into a new world, a world with no darkness, only the light of awareness and freedom. Face your shadow, so it no longer controls you. Befriend your fear, your weaknesses, your imperfections, so they no longer hold power over you. Instead, they will become the driving force that helps you grow and evolve each day. Because only when you integrate with that shadow will you truly step out and live a life no longer limited by yourself. We live in a world where sometimes, in order to be accepted, to survive, we must wear a mask. A mask that society, our families, and sometimes even we place upon our faces, hoping that it will lead to love, respect, and a sense of safety. But deep down, that mask hides our true nature, making us forget that true freedom comes from shedding all the layers we have worn throughout our lives. Perhaps you've asked yourself, why? Even when you have everything that others desire, do you still feel empty, still sense an invisible gap between yourself and the world around you? Because we're not living authentically. We've become too accustomed to being the person others want to see in order to be loved, in order to be accepted. But the cost of this is the loss of ourselves, the loss of who we truly are, buried beneath the expectations and standards society imposes on us. The mask we wear every day is not something that can hide us forever. One day, when we feel tired, weary, and can no longer pretend, we start to feel a deep urge within. It's time to let it go. So, how can we truly live as our authentic selves? To do so, we must begin by recognizing that the path of individuation is the only one that can lead us to true freedom. It is a journey where you not only learn to remove the mask, but also learn to face the unfinished parts of yourself and accept them as an essential part of your life. The journey of individuation is not an easy one. In fact, it requires us to face our deepest fears, the emotions we suppressed for so long, and the parts of ourselves we've always tried to avoid. It might be the fear of not being loved, of emotional deprivation, or the worry that if we truly live authentically, we won't be accepted anymore. But it is only in these moments of confronting these fears that we begin to truly understand ourselves. And in that process, we discover the power of honesty, the strength that comes from accepting everything that makes us who we are, from our strengths to our weaknesses. You may feel anxious, uncertain as you embark on this journey. You might wonder, if you take off the mask, will anyone still love you? Will others understand you? But you must understand that only by living authentically can you truly feel peace in your heart. The mask only turns us into a copy of someone else, an incomplete version of ourselves. When you take off that mask, you will see your true self, not in the eyes of others, but in your own heart. And when you see your true self, you'll realize that there is nothing more valuable than living authentically. You won't worry about what others think of you anymore, nor feel the need to live up to anyone else's expectations. This journey also means accepting the unfinished parts of yourself, the parts you've tried to hide. You will come to understand that no one is perfect and that those imperfect parts are what make you unique. When you dare to accept your weaknesses, your mistakes, and your failures, you will no longer feel bound or guilty about what has passed. You will feel freer, stronger, because you've liberated yourself from the invisible chains you once created. And you'll realize that it is those very mistakes, those dark parts of yourself, that hold invaluable lessons. They are irreplaceable on the journey of growth. One thing you must understand clearly: the process of individuation is not a short path. It is a long journey that requires patience and courage to face yourself. But once you have walked this journey, you will experience an incredible freedom. It is not freedom to do anything you want, but the freedom to master yourself, to live according to your own beliefs, not to satisfy the desires of others, but to live for yourself. You will no longer live under the harshness of expectations, but in harmony between your soul and your actions. What is important is that you don't need to change to please society. Society is not the sole measure of your worth. You don't need to fit into any mold to be recognized. The recognition you should seek is from within yourself, from the courage to live authentically, to face the most difficult parts of your life, and to accept yourself. When you live authentically, when you remove the masks you've worn for so long, you will notice something miraculous. You no longer need to fight anyone, because you have already conquered yourself. And remember, this journey has no final destination. It is an ongoing process, a journey not just to change, but to explore yourself, to continually improve, learn, and grow. This is the power of living authentically, not to please anyone else, but to live what is best for yourself. That is the journey of individuation. A journey not easy, but worth more than anything you can imagine. Have you ever wondered if it's the very limits we place on ourselves that hinder us from achieving true freedom? The invisible barriers, the can't-dos we create in our minds. Could these be what keep us feeling trapped in our own lives? While the world around us changes day by day, we hesitate, we doubt, and we continue living within the limits we've drawn for ourselves. We constantly tell ourselves, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve this. But do you know that it is these very thoughts that bind you, that make you your own greatest obstacle to freedom? If you dare to stop and ask yourself a truly profound question, who would I be without these limits? You'll realize that freedom doesn't come from what you have, but from what you let go of, from what you dare to release. True freedom comes from no longer being ruled by your own limitations. You don't need to change who you are, but you do need to change the way you see yourself. You can be free, not because you are perfect, but because you accept yourself. You dare to live without hiding, without fearing what others think of you. Think about a bird flying freely in the vast sky. There are no constraints, no limits. It flies because it's in its nature to do so. Similarly, you too can soar, you too can rise, but you must dare to untangle the invisible strings that keep you grounded. These strings are your distorted thoughts, the can'ts you've imposed on yourself. These strings have no power unless you allow them to control you. Freedom begins from within, from realizing that you are not what others say about you. You're not your past failures. You're not the fears you've experienced. You are a person with the power to choose, the power to act, and most importantly, the power to accept yourself. Accepting yourself doesn't mean compromising. It doesn't mean giving up on your dreams. It doesn't mean you stop striving or stop changing. On the contrary, accepting yourself means embracing your weaknesses, your failures, and understanding that these are what make you unique. When you start to look at your flaws with compassion, you not only reconcile with yourself, but begin a new journey, a journey of growth that doesn't require perfection. You'll understand that you're not an ideal model that society or anyone else expects. You are simply you, a person who can be weak, who can make mistakes, but at the same time, who can also be strong, resilient, and full of ambition. Imagine you are an unfinished painting. Every stroke of color, every brushstroke is a part of you. You may not be perfect, but those imperfections are what make you uniquely yours. When you learn to embrace the wounds, the scars in your soul, you will see that you are not just a finished work of art, but a story full of inspiration. Each scar you carry is not something that weakens you, but something that makes you beautiful in your own unique way. Once you're no longer afraid of the unfinished parts of yourself, you will realize that the limits you've placed on yourself are nothing but illusions. You won't feel guilty when you make mistakes, and you won't be afraid of the great challenges ahead. You will understand that life is not a straight path, but a journey full of twists, turns, and each turn brings a valuable lesson. You don't need all the answers right from the start, because freedom doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from knowing how to live with unanswered questions. True freedom comes from living according to what you believe in, regardless of expectations, regardless of judgments from the outside. When you begin to live authentically, you will feel a deep sense of peace within. It's the freedom of the true self, the feeling that you don't have to change to please others. When you live true to yourself, you no longer have to force yourself to hide your true feelings. You no longer need to wear a mask to be loved. You will understand that true love is not the acceptance of others, but your own acceptance of yourself. Don't let the voices outside drown out your inner voice. Don't let others decide who you should be or what you can do. Listen to yourself, because only when you live true to yourself can you truly experience the freedom of being human, a freedom not limited by anyone or anything. You are the one who creates limits for yourself, and you are also the one who can break them. When you do this, you will no longer feel trapped. You will step out of negative thoughts, out of worries about scarcity or imperfection, and you will step into a new space, a space of acceptance and ultimate freedom. So begin this journey today. Don't wait until everything is perfect. Accept yourself right now, with everything you have. Because true freedom is not something far off. It's something you can grasp right now, once you dare to let go of the limits you've set for yourself. This freedom will not only bring you peace, but also unlock new doors, new opportunities in life. When you live true to yourself, you will realize that there's nothing more valuable than freedom, and nothing more worthwhile than self-acceptance. Life is not a straight path. It is a journey full of challenges and opportunities for change. But have you ever asked yourself if you're truly living fully in every moment? Or are you stopping, too afraid to continue moving forward because of the fears and invisible limits you've created for yourself? Constant renewal is one of the keys to greatness. And you, with all the potential within you, are the one who can create significant turning points in your life. The only thing you need to do is dare to step out of your comfort zone. Let go of the limits that society or you yourself have set and move towards a future that you truly desire. In reality, we can control very little in life. But there is one thing we can always control: how we respond to life, how we face challenges, and how we choose to live. Whenever a challenge comes your way, you have two choices. One is to stop, letting fear and doubt win. The other is to move forward, embracing the unknown and exploring the possibilities you once thought were impossible. Life can only change when we accept change, when we no longer cling to what's past, to old habits, but instead have a strong determination to reach new goals. So, do you dare to break free from your own limitations? Are you willing to leave behind your failures, your mistakes, your painful memories, in order to create the future you desire? The beauty of life is not perfection. It lies in imperfection, in the growth from mistakes, in accepting your wounds, and still rising strong, ready to face every challenge. No one can avoid stumbling, but where you rise is where you grow. That is the opportunity to learn and move forward. Sometimes we get caught up in negative views, thoughts that society, or even we ourselves project. We fear failure. We fear not reaching our goals. We fear not becoming the person we want to be. But do you know that it's these very fears that can become the greatest motivation for change? When you face fear and choose to overcome it, you not only conquer yourself, but also open doors to opportunities you never imagined. Nothing is impossible if you dare to believe in your own abilities. Dare to believe that you are strong enough to overcome any challenge. Remember, you don't need to be perfect to achieve great things in life. What matters is that you never stop improving yourself, never stop learning, and never stop moving forward. Never let others or society tell you what you can or cannot do. Greatness begins with small steps, with daring to face challenges without giving up. The one who never gives up will be the one who ultimately achieves success. Maybe you're at a point in your life where fatigue and failure seem overwhelming. Maybe you feel like you've come a long way, but haven't reached the destination yet. But you must understand, these challenges are not what life is trying to take from you. They're lessons life wants you to learn. If you can learn from hardship, you will become stronger, and one day, you'll look back and realize that everything you've gone through is just part of the great journey you're on. Great change does not come from grand decisions, but from small, consistent steps taken each day. Don't think that you have to change the entire world right away. Change begins with you, with changing your thoughts, your attitude, with constantly nurturing your belief in yourself. Every day, you can take one small step toward your goal. Remember, greatness does not come from perfection, but from persistence and an unwavering commitment. Keep walking this journey with strong faith in yourself. Never let anything or anyone stop you. Every day, keep moving forward, believing that you deserve the best. You can achieve it, not because you are perfect, but because you never stop trying. Greatness is not found in achieving everything, but in never giving up. Once you've reached your own freedom, you will realize that the most important thing in life is to live with authenticity and resilience. Don't let any challenge make you step back. And don't let fear or the voices from outside influence your resolve. Live fully, authentically, and never lose yourself in others' expectations or judgments. With each step you take, life will open up to you, and you will feel the immense power of resilience, acceptance, and continual change. Let these wonderful things be your motivation so that you can build your own life, a life that, when you look back, will make you smile because you dared to face yourself, dared to rise, and dared to live your own truth. Thank you for staying with me until the end. If you've gained a fresh perspective on pain and growth, then you've just uncovered a powerful truth. Remember, motivation isn't about barreling through life without fear. It's about harnessing the challenges and pain you encounter to fuel your personal growth. As Keanu Reeves wisely said, it's not the easy paths that define us, but the difficult moments that reveal our true strength. So, carry this wisdom with you, face your struggles head on, and know that every challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger. Stay motivated and keep moving forward.